The vast emptiness of space stretched out endlessly, dotted with countless stars and swirling galaxies. Among these cosmic wonders, one civilization stood tall, its influence spreading across thousands of worlds. This was the Galactic Empire, a behemoth of power and technology that had ruled for over 10,000 years. The empire's capital world, Zenth, was a marvel of engineering. Massive structures of gleaming metal and shimmering force fields reached into the sky. Billions of beings from hundreds of species called this planet home. But it was in the imperial palace where the true power lay. Emperor HFY sat on his crystalline throne, his four eyes scanning the holographic displays floating before him. His scaled skin shimmered in the soft light of the throne room. Around him, advisors and generals from a dozen different species stood at attention, waiting for his command. "Your Majesty," spoke General Kraz, a tall, insectoid being. "Our forces have successfully subjugated the Frolon system. The inhabitants have surrendered and pledged their loyalty to the Empire." A thin smile spread across Sarek's face. "Excellent. Add their resources to our databanks and begin the integration process." He waved a hand, and the holographic display changed, showing a map of the known galaxy. Vast swaths of it glowed with the Empire's colors. For millennia, this had been the way of things. The Empire discovered new worlds, assessed their threat level, and then either invited them to join or conquered them outright. Resistance was rare and always futile. The Empire's technology and military might were unmatched in the known universe. But even with their vast knowledge and power, the Empire knew they had only explored a fraction of the galaxy. There were always new worlds to discover, new species to encounter, and new resources to claim. In a laboratory deep within the Imperial Science Academy, researchers worked tirelessly to push the boundaries of known science. Dr. Lani, a gelatinous being of high intelligence, led a team developing new faster-than-light travel technology. "If we can stabilize the quantum fluctuations," Lani bubbled excitedly to her colleagues, "we could potentially reach the outer arms of the galaxy in mere days instead of years." The implications were enormous. Faster ships meant quicker expansion, more efficient resource gathering, and an even tighter grip on the Empire's domains. Meanwhile, in the military headquarters, Admiral Vork, a grizzled veteran of 100 campaigns, was training the next generation of Imperial commanders. "Remember," he growled to the eager young officers, "most species we encounter are primitive. They're awed by our technology and quickly submit. But always be prepared for resistance. The Empire's might is absolute, but a cornered enemy can be dangerous." Little did Vork know how prophetic his words would prove to be. As the Empire continued its relentless expansion, whispers began to spread among the subjugated worlds. Stories of a mythical species that had never been conquered, a people so fierce and innovative that even the Empire feared them. Most dismissed these tales as mere fantasy, a hopeless dream of the oppressed. But in the deepest, most secure vaults of the Imperial archives, there existed records of a strange anomaly. Centuries ago, an Imperial scout ship had ventured to a distant arm of the galaxy, only to vanish without a trace. The last transmission received was a garbled warning: "Beware, they're unlike any we've. Fighting like demons. Emp, must not." This incident was classified at the highest level, known only to a select few in the Imperial hierarchy. They dismissed it as a tragic accident. Perhaps the scout ship fell into a black hole or encountered some cosmic anomaly. Yet, as the Empire's borders crept ever closer to that unexplored region of space, a sense of unease began to grow among those who knew of the old report. What if there really was something out there? A force that could challenge the Empire's supremacy? Emperor HFY, confident in his unassailable power, paid no heed to these concerns. The Empire had stood for 10,000 years, and he was certain it would stand for 10,000 more. New worlds would be discovered, new species would bow before the Imperial might, and the cycle would continue as it always had. Little did the Empire know that their next discovery would shake the very foundations of their civilization, and change the galaxy forever. The Imperial exploration vessel Starfire drifted silently through the inky blackness of space. Its sleek, silver hull gleamed under the light of unfamiliar stars. Captain Zara, a tall, blue-skinned humanoid, stood on the bridge, her forearms crossed as she studied the viewscreen before her. "Status report," she commanded, her voice crisp and authoritative. Her first officer, a reptilian being named Crix, responded promptly. "We've entered an unexplored sector, Captain. Initial scans show multiple star systems ahead." Zara nodded, a spark of excitement in her eyes. This was why she had joined the Imperial Exploration Corps. The thrill of discovery, the chance to be the first to see new worlds. "Let's take a closer look at that yellow star," she said, pointing to a bright point on the screen. "It seems to be about the right size to support life." As the Starfire approached the solar system, the crew's excitement grew. They detected several planets orbiting the star, but one, in particular, caught their attention. "Captain," exclaimed the sensor operator, his tentacles waving in agitation. "The third planet from the star. It's teeming with life." The view screen zoomed in on a beautiful blue and green world, swathed in swirling white clouds. Zara's breath caught in her throat. In all her years of exploration, she had never seen a planet so vibrant, so full of potential. "Scan for signs of intelligent life," she ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. The results came back quickly, and they were astonishing. The planet was home to a technologically advanced civilization. Cities dotted the continents, ships crossed the oceans, and satellites orbited the planet. "They call their world Earth," Crix reported, analyzing the intercepted communications. "And they call themselves humans." Zara made a decision. "Send a message to Imperial Command. We've made first contact with a new species." Back on Zenth, Emperor Xarak VI received the news with great interest. A new advanced civilization could be a valuable addition to the Empire, or, if they resisted, a worthy conquest. "Prepare a diplomatic mission," he ordered his advisors. "Let's see how these humans respond to the glory of the Empire." Months later, a massive Imperial flagship entered Earth's orbit. Its sudden appearance caused panic and confusion among the humans. Military forces around the world went on high alert, and governments scrambled to respond to this unprecedented situation. Ambassador Lorne, a respected diplomat of the Empire, prepared to make first contact. He was confident in his abilities. After all, he had negotiated the peaceful submission of dozens of worlds to the Empire. The humans agreed to a meeting at their United Nations headquarters in New York. As Lorne's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, he marveled at the planet's beauty. Such a prize for the Empire, he thought to himself. The meeting was tense. World leaders gathered, their faces a mix of fear, curiosity, and determination. Lorne strode into the assembly, his translators working perfectly to convey his words. "Greetings, people of Earth," he began, his voice smooth and assured. "I come on behalf of the Galactic Empire, the most powerful civilization in the known universe. We offer you a great opportunity to join our glorious empire." He went on to describe the benefits of joining. Advanced technology, protection, access to the galaxy. But he also made the alternative clear. "Those who resist the Empire's embrace find only destruction," he warned. The human leaders listened in stunned silence. When Lorne finished, there was a long pause before anyone spoke. Finally, the Secretary-General of the UN stood up. "Ambassador," she said, her voice firm despite her nervousness, "we thank you for your offer. But we need time to discuss this among ourselves. Humanity values its independence. We cannot make such a monumental decision hastily." Lorne frowned. This wasn't the odd submission he was used to. "Very well," he said, trying to hide his annoyance. "You have one Earth month to decide. Choose wisely." As Lorne's shuttle ascended back to the Imperial flagship, he couldn't shake a feeling of unease. These humans were different from any species he had encountered before. Their cities might not be as advanced as the Empire's, their ships couldn't travel between stars, but there was something in their eyes, a fierce determination, a spark of defiance. For the first time in his long career, Ambassador Lorne wondered if the Empire might have bitten off more than it could chew. Back on Earth, leaders debated fiercely. Some argued for submission, fearing the Empire's superior technology. Others called for resistance, unwilling to give up humanity's freedom. As the deadline approached, humanity made its choice. They would not bow. They would not surrender. If the Empire wanted Earth, they would have to fight for it. The stage was set for a conflict unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The Imperial Palace on Zenth buzzed with activity. Emperor HFY sat on his crystalline throne, his 4 eyes narrowed in anger. Before him, Ambassador Lorne knelt, his head bowed low. They refused. Tarek's voice was dangerously quiet. These humans dare to refuse the Empire's generous offer. Lorne nodded, trying to hide his trembling. Yes, Your Majesty. They'd value their independence highly. They seem unafraid of our power. The Emperor's fist came down hard on the arm of his throne. Unafraid. We will teach them fear. He turned to his generals. Prepare the fleet. We will make an example of this Earth. Across the galaxy, on the blue-green world called Earth, humanity prepared for war. In secret bunkers and hidden bases, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. They studied the limited data they had on Imperial technology, looking for weaknesses, seeking ways to defend against weapons they barely understood. General Sarah Chen, head of Earth's newly formed United Defense Force, stood before a room full of military leaders from around the world. Her face was grim but determined. "We are outgunned and outmatched," she said bluntly. "The Empire's technology is centuries ahead of ours, but we have something they don't expect: the will to fight, to survive, to remain free." In orbit, a network of satellites and space stations was hastily constructed. On the ground, soldiers trained with new weapons reverse-engineered from scraps of Imperial tech left behind after the first contact. Meanwhile, the Empire's war machine rumbled to life. Thousands of warships gathered, their hulls gleaming with weaponry that could reduce planets to ash. Admiral Vrock, now commander of the invasion fleet, addressed his troops. "This will be a simple operation," he growled confidently. "These humans are primitive. Their weapons are toys compared to ours. We will crush them swiftly, and the Emperor will reward us greatly." As the Imperial fleet approached Earth, tension on the planet reached a fever pitch. In a broadcast watched by billions, the President of the United Earth Council addressed the world. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the weight on her shoulders. "For millennia, we have looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know the answer, and it has brought us to the brink of war." She paused, taking a deep breath. "The Galactic Empire demands our surrender, our subservience. They expect us to give up our freedom, our very humanity, in exchange for so-called protection. To that we say, never." Cheers erupted in city squares around the world. The President continued, "We may be outgunned, but we are not outmatched. Our strength lies not in our weapons, but in our spirit. We are humanity, diverse, resilient, innovative. We have faced extinction before, from ice ages to plagues to our own destructive nature. Each time, we have emerged stronger." As she spoke, the first wave of Imperial ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Their massive forms cast shadows over cities, their weapons primed and ready. To the Galactic Empire, we say this: we will not bow. We will not break. If you want our world, you'll have to fight for every inch of it. And know this: win or lose, you will remember the day you decided to make an enemy of humanity. The broadcast ended, and for a moment, the world held its breath. Then, high above the planet, the sky lit up with fire. The Empire had made its move. Imperial warships launched their first salvo, expecting to easily break through Earth's primitive defenses. But to their shock, A shimmering energy shield flickered to life around the planet, absorbing the brunt of the attack. Admiral Vrock stared in disbelief at his tactical display. "Impossible," he muttered. "How did they?" On the ground, General Chen allowed herself a small smile. The reverse-engineered shield technology had worked, bought with the lives of brave spies who had infiltrated Imperial ships during the diplomatic meetings. "All units, execute Operation Slingshot," she commanded. Across the planet, hidden silos opened. Missiles streaked into the sky, carrying payloads designed to exploit weaknesses in Imperial shield technology. Weaknesses discovered through countless hours of analysis and simulation. The first missiles struck their targets. Imperial ships, caught off guard by the unexpected counterattack, began to fall from the sky. As battles raged in orbit and the upper atmosphere, Emperor HFY received the first reports of the conflict. His face darkened with each update. This was not the easy victory he had expected. "Send in everything we have," he snarled to his commanders. "I want that planet reduced to ashes." The war for Earth had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The sky above Earth burned. Imperial warships, sleek and deadly, clashed with hastily constructed human defenses. Lasers cut through the atmosphere, while missiles arced upwards from the planet's surface. It was a battle unlike any in human history. Admiral Vrock stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Imperial Fist. His earlier confidence had given way to frustration and confusion. "How are they doing this?" he growled, watching another of his ships fall to Earth's unexpected defenses. On the tactical display, red dots representing Imperial ships blinked out one by one. The humans were using guerrilla tactics in space, striking fast and retreating, using the debris of destroyed ships as cover. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything we've seen. It seems the humans have adapted some of our technology." Vrock's eyes narrowed. This was unprecedented. No species had ever reverse-engineered Imperial tech so quickly. "Pull back the fleet," he ordered. "We need to regroup and reassess." As the Imperial ships retreated to a higher orbit, cheers erupted in the command bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. General Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Phase 1 complete," she announced. "But this is just the beginning." She turned to her team of scientists and engineers. "Dr. Patel, what's the status on Project Phoenix?" A tired-looking woman with graying hair stepped forward. "We're making progress, General. The captured Imperial power core is unlike anything we've seen, but we're learning fast. If we can crack its secrets, we might be able to power weapons that could turn the tide." Chen nodded. "Keep at it. We need every advantage we can get." Meanwhile, in orbit, a small team of human astronauts floated silently towards a damaged Imperial frigate. Their suits, hastily modified with stealth technology, kept them hidden from the ship's sensors. Captain Miguel Cortez, leader of the team, whispered into his comm, "This is Whiskey Team. We're approaching the target. Operation Trojan Horse is a go." Their mission was crucial: to infiltrate the Imperial ship, gather intelligence, and, if possible, capture it. It was a desperate gamble, but humanity needed every edge it could get. As Whiskey Team worked, the battle resumed. Imperial ships launched a new offensive, this time targeting Earth's major cities. But they were met with a surprise. Hidden defense platforms, disguised as satellites or space debris, suddenly came to life. They fired concentrated electromagnetic pulses, shorting out Imperial systems. Admiral Vrock watched in horror as a third of his fleet suddenly went dark, drifting helplessly in orbit. "Impossible," he muttered. Then, louder, "All ships, switch to backup systems. Don't let them catch you off guard." But the humans weren't done. From the surface, a new wave of missiles launched. These weren't aimed at the ships, but instead detonated in space, creating a cloud of superheated plasma. Imperial sensors, calibrated for the vacuum of space, were blinded. In the confusion, Earth's fighters struck. Small, agile craft, built with a mixture of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien tech, swarmed the Imperial ships. They targeted weak points identified by Earth scientists, causing devastating damage. Back on the Imperial homeworld of Zenth, Emperor HFY received the reports of the battle with growing rage. "How is this possible?" he roared. "They're savages, primitives." His advisors cowered before him. One brave soul spoke up. "Your Majesty, we may have underestimated the humans. Their adaptability is remarkable. Perhaps we should consider a different approach." Sarek's eyes flashed dangerously. "No, I will not be defeated by these apes. Send in the planet killer. Let's see how adaptable they are when their world is cracking apart." As the order was given, a massive ship detached itself from the Imperial Reserve Fleet. The planet killer, a weapon capable of destroying entire worlds, began its ominous approach towards Earth. Unaware of this new threat, humanity celebrated its first victories. In cities around the world, people cheered as news spread of Imperial ships falling from the sky. For the first time since the war began, hope blossomed. But in the command bunker, General Chen's face was grim. "Don't celebrate yet," she warned her staff. "This is just the first clash. The Empire won't take this defeat lightly. We need to prepare for their response." As if on cue, alarms blared. A junior officer called out, panic in his voice. "General, we're detecting a massive energy signature approaching Earth. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Chen's blood ran cold. The real test of humanity's resolve was about to begin. The massive planet killer loomed in Earth's orbit, its presence casting a shadow of fear across the world. In the underground command center, General Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display, her face a mask of determination. "What are our options?" she asked, looking around at her team of advisors and scientists. Dr. Petal stepped forward, her eyes bright with excitement despite the dire situation. "General, Project Phoenix is ready. It's not tested, but it's our best shot." Chen nodded grimly. "Explain it to me, Doctor." "In simple terms, we've managed to create a device that can generate a controlled singularity. A miniature black hole," Dr. Patel said. "It's powered by the reverse-engineered Imperial core. In theory, it could swallow the planet killer whole." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the room. Chen raised an eyebrow. "And in practice?" Dr. Patel hesitated. "In practice, we're not sure. It could save Earth, or it could destroy us all." Chen closed her eyes for a moment, weighing the fate of humanity in her mind. "We have no choice. Prepare to deploy Project Phoenix." Meanwhile, in orbit, Captain Miguel Cortez and his whiskey team had successfully infiltrated the Imperial frigate. They moved silently through the alien corridors, their adapted suits allowing them to blend in with the ship's environment. "Control, this is Whiskey Lead," Cortez whispered into his comm. "We've reached the main computer core, beginning data extraction." As Cortez's team worked, they stumbled upon something unexpected: internal communications from the Empire. As they decrypted the data, their eyes widened in shock. Back on Earth, the planet killer began to power up its main weapon. Admiral Vrock watched from his flagship, a grim smile on his face. "Let's see them adapt to this," he growled. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Imperial fleet. Vrock spun around. "What's happening?" His second-in-command looked up, panic in his eyes. "Sir, we're detecting energy buildups all across the planet's surface. It's like the whole planet is powering up." On the surface, hidden installations around the world hummed to life. These were the fruits of Project Phoenix, not one device, but a network of them, strategically placed around the globe. In the command center, Dr. Patel's fingers flew across her console, activating Project Phoenix in 3, 2, 1. The world held its breath. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the sky lit up with an otherworldly light. Streams of energy burst from the ground. converging high in the atmosphere. Where they met, space itself seemed to warp and twist. Admiral Vrock watched in horror as a swirling vortex of darkness formed in front of his fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," he shouted, but it was too late. The miniature black hole, precisely controlled by Earth's scientists, began to pull in the planet killer. The massive ship, for all its power, was helpless against the fundamental forces of the universe. As the planet killer was torn apart and swallowed by the singularity, cheers erupted in command centers and cities around the world. But the celebration was short-lived. "General," a young officer called out, "the black hole, it's growing. We can't control it." Dr. Patel's face paled. "No, this shouldn't be happening. Unless..." Her eyes widened in realization. The Imperial ship's power cores, they're reacting with the singularity. The black hole expanded rapidly, pulling in more and more of the Imperial fleet. Admiral Vrock gave the order to retreat, but for many ships it was already too late. On Earth, panic began to spread as the growing singularity became visible from the ground. General Chen's voice rang out over global communications. "All Phoenix sites, initiate emergency shutdown." Now, for several tense minutes, nothing seemed to change. The black hole continued to grow, now threatening to pull in Earth itself. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, it began to shrink. Dr. Patel collapsed into her chair, exhausted but relieved. "It's working. The singularity is collapsing." As the black hole dissipated, it left behind a scene of utter devastation in Earth's orbit. The planet killer was gone, along with a significant portion of the Imperial fleet. In the aftermath, Captain Cortez's voice crackled over the comm. "Control, this is Whiskey Lead. You're not going to believe what we found in the Imperial database." General Chen leaned forward. "Go ahead, Captain." "Sir," Cortez said, his voice filled with awe, "we're not the first to fight the Empire. There are others out there, other species who've resisted, and they're looking for allies." A spark of hope ignited in Chen's chest. Perhaps humanity wasn't as alone in this fight as they had thought. As news of the victory spread, people around the world emerged from shelters, looking up at the sky with a mixture of fear and pride. They had faced the Empire's worst and survived. But this was just the beginning. The war was far from over, but humanity had revealed its hidden strength. The galaxy would never be the same again. The aftermath of the black hole incident left Earth's orbit a graveyard of twisted metal and broken ships. But amid the destruction, humanity found hope. Captain Miguel Cortez and his team had returned with invaluable information from the Imperial database. In a secure room deep within the underground command center, General Sarah Chen, Dr. Patel, and a select group of world leaders gathered to hear Cortez's report. According to the Imperial records, Cortez began, his voice filled with excitement. "We're not alone in this fight. There's a group called the Galactic Resistance. They're made up of species from worlds the Empire tried to conquer." Murmurs filled the room. Chen leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Do we have a way to contact them?" Cortez nodded. "We found coordinates for a hidden communications relay. It's in a nearby star system. Then we need to send a message," Chen said firmly. "We need allies if we're going to win this war." As Earth prepared to reach out to potential allies, the remnants of the Imperial fleet retreated to a safe distance. Admiral Vrock, his uniform singed and his pride wounded, faced a holographic projection of Emperor Xarak VY. "You promised me an easy victory." Xarak snarled, his four eyes blazing with fury. "Instead, you lost half our fleet and our most powerful weapon." Vrock bowed his head. "Forgive me, Your Majesty. We underestimated the humans, their technology, their tactics. They're unlike anything we've encountered." Sarek's expression darkened. "I'm sending Grand Admiral Jen to take command. You had better hope she can salvage this situation, or your life will be forfeit." Back on Earth, preparations were underway for humanity's first venture beyond their solar system. A ship, hastily constructed using a combination of human and reverse-engineered Imperial technology, stood ready on a secret launch pad. Dr. Patel approached the ship, her hand resting on its sleek hull. "We're calling it the Hope," she said to General Chen. "It's not as advanced as the Imperial ships, but it's the fastest thing humanity has ever built." Chen nodded. "And our best chance at finding allies." She turned to the crew, a hand-picked team of Earth's finest. "You carry the hopes of our entire species. Good luck, and Godspeed." As the Hope lifted off, breaking free of Earth's gravity well, the Empire was facing its own crisis. News of the defeated Earth had spread through Imperial territories, sparking unrest on dozens of worlds. On a distant planet called Xaraxis, a scaled reptilian species that had long chafed under Imperial rule saw their opportunity. Led by a charismatic rebel named Suluk, they launched a surprise attack on the local Imperial garrison. "For too long, we have bowed to the Empire's tyranny," Suluk hissed to his followers. "But now, with their forces weakened, we strike." Similar uprisings flared across the galaxy. The Empire, which had stood unchallenged for millennia, suddenly found itself fighting wars on multiple fronts. Grand Admiral Jen, a tall, imposing figure with crystalline skin, arrived at the Imperial fleet near Earth. Her cold eyes surveyed the damage. "This ends now," she said, her voice like ice. "Prepare for a full-scale assault. We will crush these humans and make an example of their world." But as the Empire geared up for its next attack, the Hope was making its way through uncharted space. Captain Yuki Tanaka, the ship's commander, stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the stars streaking by. "We're approaching the coordinates," her navigator reported. Tanaka took a deep breath. "Send the message we prepared. Let's hope someone's listening." For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the ship's communications array lit up. A holographic figure flickered to life on the bridge, a being unlike any human had ever seen. It had multiple limbs and eyes, and its skin seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence. "Greetings, humans," the being said, its voice resonating with a strange harmony. "We are the Collective, leaders of the Galactic Resistance. We have waited long for others to join our cause." Tanaka stepped forward, her heart racing. "We come seeking allies. The Empire threatens our world, and we cannot stand alone." The being's eyes seemed to twinkle. "You have already done more than stand alone. Your victory against the Empire has ignited hope across the galaxy. But come, there is much to discuss, and time is short." As the Hope disappeared into a shimmering portal opened by the Collective, back on Earth, humanity prepared for the Empire's next onslaught. But now, for the first time since the war began, they dared to believe they might not just survive, but win. The tide of the war was turning, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Hope emerged from the shimmering portal into a hidden star system, teeming with activity. Massive space stations and ships of various alien designs surrounded them. Captain Yuki Tanaka and her crew stared in awe at the heart of the Galactic Resistance. On the bridge of the central station, representatives from a dozen different species gathered to meet the humans. The bioluminescent being who had greeted them earlier stepped forward. "I am Zixla, leader of the Collective," it said. "Your arrival has brought new hope to our cause. For too long, we have fought a losing battle against the Empire, but your victory has changed everything." Tanaka nodded, her voice firm. "We're ready to join your fight. But we need help to defend Earth. The Empire is preparing another attack." Zixla's eyes glimmered. "And help you shall have. But first, we must share our knowledge and technology. Together, we will be stronger than ever before." Back on Earth, General Chen received an urgent message. Her eyes widened as she read it. "Get me the world leaders," she commanded. "Now." In a hastily convened global broadcast, Chen addressed humanity. "Citizens of Earth, I bring both warning and hope. The Empire is massing for a final assault on our world, but we are no longer alone. Our envoys have made contact with the Galactic resistance, and help is on the way." As Chen spoke, the Imperial fleet under Grand Admiral Zhen approached Earth. Thousands of warships filled the sky, their weapons primed. "This is your final warning." Zhen's cold voice echoed across all frequencies. "Surrender now, or face total annihilation." For a moment, the world held its breath. Then, suddenly, space itself seemed to tear open. Out of the rift poured ships of all shapes and sizes, the combined fleet of the Galactic resistance. Leading the charge was the Hope, now upgraded with advanced alien technology. Captain Tanaka's voice rang out. "Earth, this is the Hope. The cavalry has arrived." What followed was a battle that would be remembered for millennia to come. Imperial ships clashed with the combined forces of Earth and the Resistance. Advanced alien weapons met Imperial technology, while Earth's reverse-engineered systems proved their worth once again. On the ground, Dr. Patel and her team worked frantically to integrate the new alien tech with Earth's defenses. "We're bringing online capabilities we barely understand," she muttered, her fingers flying over holographic controls. "But it's our only chance." As the battle raged in space, the Empire's ground forces launched a desperate invasion. But they were met with fierce resistance. Humans fought alongside alien allies, their combined tactics catching the Imperial troops off guard. In the heart of the fray, General Chen led from the front, coordinating Earth's defenses. "Push them back," she shouted, rallying her troops. "For Earth, for freedom, for the galaxy." High above, Grand Admiral Zhen watched in disbelief as her supposedly invincible fleet was slowly but surely pushed back. "Impossible," she whispered, as another of her ships exploded in a brilliant fireball. The tide of battle turned. Imperial ships began to retreat, their formations breaking under the relentless assault of the Allied forces. As the last Imperial vessel fled, cheers erupted across Earth and the Allied fleet. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the fires of battle cooled, representatives from Earth stood alongside their new alien allies on the bridge of the Resistance flagship. Zixla addressed the gathered beings. "Today marks the beginning of a new era," it said, its voice filled with hope. "The Empire's grip on the galaxy has been broken. But our work is not done. There are more worlds to free, more species to bring into our alliance." Captain Tanaka stepped forward. "Earth stands ready to do its part. We may be newcomers to the galactic stage, but we've learned that together we can achieve the impossible." As news of the Empire's defeat spread across the galaxy, subjugated worlds rose up in rebellion. The once mighty Galactic Empire began to crumble, its forces stretched thin trying to maintain control. On Earth, humans looked to the stars with new eyes. No longer were they alone in the universe. They had found their place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals in a diverse galactic community. General Chen stood at a window in the rebuilt United Earth headquarters, watching ships from a dozen worlds land in the spaceport below. "We came so close to extinction," she mused, "and instead, we found a whole new future." As the sun set on this new era, the galaxy buzzed with activity. The war was not over. The Empire, though weakened, still held many worlds in its grasp. But for the first time in millennia, there was hope for true freedom and peace among the stars. And at the heart of this new alliance stood humanity, adaptable, innovative, and unbreakable. The species that had faced the Empire's might, and not only survived but thrived. The galaxy would never be the same, and the adventure was just beginning.